Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I wanted to do just like a sit down. Hold on, I have to text this in. I kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of like a podcast style where I'm going to be talking about my entire journey of New York and just the past 2 years, why I moved here, everything like that. So it's going to be kind of like a podcast episode. I'm going to include clips so it feels a little bit like a movie for you guys. First things first, I was living in Chicago at the time. I'm from Chicago. I just knew I needed to live in New York. I didn't know why. I literally had no idea why. For me, I was done with Chicago. Is either I was gonna move to LA or I was gonna go to New York. I already had a previous little stint in LA and I was like, I think it's time I try out New York. So I visited New York for the first time in August 2021. Fell in love. Like the moment I got off the plane and like on the streets of New York, I was like, holy shit, it feels like home. I can't believe this. I love it here. Like I have to move here. I ended up moving in February 2022 to New York. And everyone was like, why are you moving to New York? Why are you moving to New York? And I was like, my career. You guys, I was a server at the time, but I've always been, I'm trained in comedy writing and performance, so I've always been a comedian. I'm like, yeah, so I mean, I am a comedian. I don't know why I said I'm like a comedian. I'm a comedian and I was like, oh, I'll get into the comedy scene out here. But in my soul, what I really wanted was just to make TikTok my full-time job and just be on social media full-time. That was ideally what I really wanted, and to build my brand in that way. And I didn't even know what I wanted my brand to really be at that time. So I moved to New York with 50,000 followers on TikTok and literally like 3,000 on Instagram, and I was like, I'm gonna make this shit work. Here's a really important part to remember. I had no money to my name. I moved to, and honestly, like, I would not recommend this to anybody. I moved to New York with literally no money. I'm talking, I had $1,000 in my bank account and rent was $2,000. You know what I mean? Like, it was not my best idea that I've ever had in my entire life, but my heart and soul like knew I needed to be in New York. So I was like, okay, whatever, I just need to be in New York. So I moved there, and also I don't have anyone to really fall back on if I don't have money. Like my mom, we don't do that. Like if I was like, oh my god, I need money for rent kind of thing, it's just like, no, not no. I would probably go to Sissy first, and then I would be like, mom, I need, and then Sissy, it's just like, I would never want to ask anyone for money though either. Like I'm not in that, yeah, no, that was just never a thing for me. So I got to New York, immediately I started serving at a really nice restaurant and like kind of exclusive club. It was like so fucking horrid. During this time, I had just moved into this little apartment. I was so new to New York. And it's crazy to me that it's only been 2 years because I feel like, oh my god, I could get like so emotional. I'm probably gonna cry during this because it's like, I've grown so much as a human and I love the person that I've become. I genuinely love the person that I've become since moving here. But I moved here, got a job. That's where I met my first ex-boyfriend, Frenchie. So we started a little romance at our workplace. Ew, I was a server. Like, mind you, I've never been a good server. Let me tell you that I've never been a good server. First day on the job, I literally had a tray of champagne. There was a private party happening and I spilled it all over like one of the main men of the party. And I was like picking up champagne with like broken glass. Like I'm picking up the broken glass with my fucking fingers. Stupid. Like why the fuck was I doing that? And like I wasn't a good server. I had experience in Chicago and I always was the type of bitch that I was gonna lie my way through whatever. Like I was like, oh no, I've been a fine dining server for this long kind of thing. Those hours at that restaurant, I worked Wednesday to Sunday. I'd start at 5 p.m. and I wouldn't get home till 3 in the morning. 3 in the fucking morning. I was like, oh bitch, I'm not built for this. But I was like, whatever I have to do. I always said that. Everyone's like, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna make money in New York? What are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm gonna sell my fucking body if I have to. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make my goals and dreams come true, whatever they are, because that's just the type of bitch I am. That's just it. So there I am working my ass off at this restaurant. It's a membership club. I'm working and I'm dating my ex-boyfriend at the time, and it's just not the best relationship. He was like a liar or whatever, but I was falling in love for the first time that I've ever fell in love. It was like 6 years or something like insane like that, or like 5 years since my college boyfriend. And I was falling in love with this man while I was also serving, and I just remember this is also gonna make me so emotional. I would always tell him I've told everybody all the time, like, these are my goals and dreams. This is what I'm gonna accomplish. This is what the fuck I'm going to do. I was doing like weird little brand deals on the side. Whoever was gonna pay me, whatever they wanted to pay me, just for me to like promote a product or two kind of thing. And I was posting TikToks 3 to 5 times daily. I was like, this TikTok grind, this shit is real, bitch. I was posting as if I already had 1 million followers. Like, that was always my mindset going into everything. So yeah, and I was like doing YouTube videos. Oh, I was getting my Instagram photos. I actually like took a little bit of a break from YouTube, but I was still doing my podcast, old podcast, Midday Matcha, every single week. And I kid you not, I had maybe 300 listeners, and I was like, I don't give a single fuck. Like, I'm gonna continue to do this every single week, because for me, it was more important to be consistent and have that discipline. I was like, that is what I want. I'm going to give all my time and energy that I'm not at the restaurant or falling in love with this man to my social media career. And that was a full-time job for me in itself, because I'm editing the podcast, I'm writing the podcast, I've directed I did everything behind the scenes of the podcast. I'm recording it in my home, like this little, I get emotional because it's like this little desk that before I could even move up. Okay, I also think I'm getting my period, so like chill. Before I could even, like, I genuinely didn't even have the money to fucking buy a desk or anything. Like, the move literally drained my bank account kind of thing. And it's just like this little desk. It was like probably $40. And I just was so happy just to have a little desk to like do, oh my God, I can't believe I'm crying. Do my makeup on and like film my little TikToks and like record my podcast on. That was like the most important thing to me. Oh my God, I'm crying because it's just so amazing how far I've come. Oh my God, I didn't think I would fucking cry in this video. I just like to see the progression. It's crazy. So I was always doing those little things. I decided to go to a different restaurant to work there, and in New York, and I trained for the first day, and I was like, so I quit my job at the other restaurant. I'm on and off with the boyfriend at this time, like I'm on and off, and I quit my job at the other place, yeah, and I would literally train there for 2 days, and they're like, we don't need you anymore. So I got fired. Like, I was literally there 2 days. I made maybe $100. At this time, I would say this was like my all-time low in New York. Guys, I had no money. Like, I had a little bit saved at this point. I think I had 1 month's rent saved, and which was $2,000, but I needed it for next month's rent. And this was like in May, and I just remember being like, what the fuck am I going to do? And the day that I got fired from that job, I came home, and there was a ring light at the bottom of my stairs in my apartment building, and I was like, that's such a weird sign. So I picked up the ring light, I brought that bitch back home with me, and I was like, this, I feel like it's telling me to focus more on my content creating kind of thing, instead of, yeah, I guess I was like, just fucking focus on this content creating thing. At this time, I probably had 55,000 followers on TikTok, and I was like, you know what? Until I find another serving job, I'm going to give this my all. Things with the ex-boyfriend started getting like not great. We were breaking up on and off, whatever. It was like, you guys know the story of Frenchie. Turns out he cheated. Who's surprised, right? So I got a job at another restaurant because a bitch was broke. Literally no money, you guys. I actually look back, I'm like, I don't know how I survived in New York City with actually no money. It was a lot of ramen dinners and just like finding other odd jobs to do until I literally like remember texting my roommate being like, can I just watch dogs in the apartment? And she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, noted, love that, fine, great. So I started working at this other restaurant. During this time, I was on an acting website because I'm an actress, and there was like a gig for like a TikTok kind of job, and I was like, okay, perfect, I'm going to audition for that kind of thing, because TikTok is my favorite place. That's my favorite thing to do, and I still want it to be my full-time job. And so I was like, this will probably just like help, and I get to be in the creative space, I get to be in the content creator space. And so I am still doing all my TikTok. The podcast is going up every single week, everything like that. And I get to this audition, I kill it, they love me, they hire me full-time. And it was actually I really went into work like 2 days a week, and sorry, I went into work Monday through Friday, but I was only there for like 3 hours. It was actually really fucking nice now that I look back on that, but nothing will beat what I'm doing now. But it was just, yeah, I did something TikTok related. I don't like talking about it. Even when I told my team at first that I was like, this is just embarrassing. Like, these are the humbling days. And it just like, I didn't like it. Like, that's how I felt. At this time, my ex and I had broken up. So I'm also dealing with a heartbreak during all of this. And then I was part-time, and then I went full-time at the TikTok job. I was part-time dealing with the breakup of my ex, as well as I was still working at the restaurant at the same time, because I was like, the more money I can make, the better. So I was working 6 days a week, and when I wasn't at the TikTok job, I was working on my own TikTok, or I was serving. I was doing something. I was doing whatever the fuck I could to make money, make ends meet, and just live a little bit more of a comfortable lifestyle here, rather than being stressed 24/7 about money. So then, I'm still doing the TikTok job. I did the TikTok job from, okay. In December of 2022. I had my, I think it was November. Maybe it was October. Okay, October 2022, I hit 100,000 on TikTok. You guys, you would have thought I won the fucking lottery by the way I acted. Like, I was just so, I mean, that was a dream. That was a dream of mine that I had. I was like, I want to hit 100,000. I want to hit 1 million. I want to hit 4 million, whatever. Like, that was a dream of mine. I was so fucking excited. I was so proud of myself too. I was like, bitch, you did the damn thing. You did the damn thing. From the time I hit 100,000, I then went from 100,000 to 1 million from October to February. So my growth was extremely quick. So during that time, I think that was like probably one of the best times of my life, because it was like all my goals and dreams are coming true right in front of me, and this is all I've ever wanted. I've known exactly what I wanted, and like the hard work that I put into it of like posting Midday Matcha when no one's listening. Now I have hundreds of thousands of people listening to it. I was like mind blown by all of it, and just like staying on top of that consistency, I think was like the #1 thing for me. During that time, I quit my job doing the weird little TikTok job I was doing, and I truly just I was always in love with making TikToks and creating content and being on social media, but now I was able to do it and make an income off of it. So the goal and dream that I had for years, I was living. And yeah, I will say that my life changed forever in like December of 2022, because that's when TikTok started to be full-time for me. And I was watching all these goals and dreams that I had put on vision boards, that I had put on my affirmations, that I had manifested for so long, like come into fruition. Like the day I hit 1 million was like the best day ever. I was so emotional just because like I worked so fucking hard for that, and I wanted that for so long, and I manifested that, and I knew it was I knew it would happen. I knew I was gonna do that. And just seeing all that hard work, and just like the uncertainty times too, of like when I was serving and I was like, am I just not meant to be on social media? And I never let that thought like take over whatsoever. I was like, no, I am, and I'm gonna make this fucking work. So I was like watching my goals and dreams unfold. I hired a team at that time. I started working with my team at that time. So it was like, I became full-blown influencer as fuck very quickly. It was very overwhelming, but it just kind of all like clicked to me. I was like, okay, I knew I wanted to be in New York. I knew this is where I wanted to be. And it just felt so reassuring that like making the move and doing what I wanted to do panned out so well. So within this time, I was going to events. I did Fashion Week. I was doing brand deals. I was doing everything. 2023 was the best year of my life so far, 100%. But what happened in 2023 was I started to really fall out of love with New York. I just feel like my life changed so quickly and then I changed so quickly with it. Like, I don't think I'm the bitch I even was 3 months ago. Like, let alone a year ago. Like, I am nowhere near that same bitch anymore. I now have so many like clearer goals and dreams that I'm working towards and achieving, and obviously I'm moving to California, so I just feel like I was outgrowing New York physically. My apartment is very tiny. It's like 500 square feet for 2 people, which is absolutely insane, and I was just kind of feeling very unfulfilled and very lonely in New York, which is such an insane statement because I have all my friends and family around me. Like Sissy moved out here because Sissy loves New York. She started working for me for a little bit. Now she's only doing my finances. I know you guys are like obsessed with like, Sissy's not moving to LA. No, she had the option to. She wants to stay in New York, and so she'll only be handling my expenses and my finances. So she's no longer my personal assistant. So, and she was really only doing that part-time because that's what I needed her for. And yeah, I then just became a little bit resentful towards the city, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like when I'll never forget this therapy session with my therapist. It was right before I had just came home from Paris in August, and I was about to go to LA in September, like the first week of September, because Nicole had just moved there. And I remember my OCD being very bad, and I was like, I'm not sure what it is. And she was like, have you ever thought maybe you've just outgrown the space that you're in? And I was like, I've definitely outgrown the apartment. And she was like, no, I mean New York. And I was like, what? She was like, have you ever thought about moving to LA or anything like that? Because I mean, that's been a topic with my team for a while, that they're like, you should come to LA, like you should be in LA, like you should move to LA. And I was like, I mean, I thought about it, but I visited in May and I wasn't in love with it, and I've done it once before, and like going back is going to be my redemption era. Because like if you know, I had that little stunt when I was 18 years old living there for a couple months. It was supposed to be like a year. Anyways, I was like, I'm just really not sure. And she was like, well, maybe your OCD is so bad, like, because when you left Chicago, it was also really bad, and it was because you outgrew that space, you outgrew that environment, you outgrew those people, so maybe you have outgrown this space in this environment in this city. And at this time, I was planning to move to the Upper East Side. I'm in the Lower East Side right now, I'm more downtown. I was planning to move to the Upper East Side, get my own apartment, and do those kinds of things. And my therapist said that, and then I had the trip the next day. I go out there, Nicole's there, and I'm staying with her, and I have a meeting with my team. And my team is like, for the things that you want to do and what we want to put you into, it's just like LA really makes a lot more sense for you. They're like, have you thought about moving? And I was like, I haven't really deep dove on it. I haven't really deep dove. At that time, in that same dinner, we decided to end Midday Matcha because of what is coming. I have another project coming. I've said that a million fucking times. You're like, bitch, what is the project? I have something really exciting coming. So in this dinner, I am now processing, okay, am I gonna move to LA? Am I gonna move across the fucking country? And also, I have a brand new project that I now have to start putting all my time, energy, and love into. So I get home from that dinner and I'm like, Nicole, my team really wants me to move out here. And at that time, Nicole was living there, and of course Nicole was like, yes, move, oh my God, of course. But we actually like really sat down, and she was like, all right, let's go through a list. Why are you in New York and why are you in LA? And a couple weeks prior, I remember having the conversation with Sissy, like, I'm thinking about moving to LA. I'm not like certain about it, but it's definitely a possibility in my brain. And Sissy's like, no, I think you need one more year in New York and then you go to LA. And I was like, I don't know. It was just always in my head because I know for the things I want to do and the goals and the dreams that I have, LA will be the best place for that. And I've had that sit down conversation with myself. Well, let me get into, okay, Nicole and I make the list. And as we're making the list, I'm like, absolutely nothing is keeping me in New York. Nothing is keeping me in New York at all. Like, besides Sissy, that's it. And I do think in a year, Sissy will be in LA with me. But that was the only thing that was really keeping me in New York. And I'm someone, obviously, from the start of the story, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I need to do to accomplish my goals and dreams. I moved to New York with no money because I just knew I needed to be there. It was that gut feeling that I trusted. I have the same exact gut feeling with California. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous. I think anyone moving across the country is gonna be a little bit fucking nervous. But these past 6 months in New York, I feel like I became a version of myself I don't really love. I love myself always. I love this city so much, and I do, but I do feel like I've outgrown it, which is such a crazy thing for me to say because I genuinely loved New York so much. And I was like, but I always knew I was gonna end up in LA. I just never really thought it would be this soon. So it's just like a crazy thing for me to even wrap my head around, where I'm moving to California. And that's always where I've wanted to settle down. That's always been the place where I'm like, and I'm gonna settle down in California. And you're like, what do you mean? I'm like, that's where I wanna live the rest of my life. That's what I personally plan on and what I've like seen for myself. God has other plans, but I really trust whatever the fuck he's doing up there. So I decided I was gonna move to LA in September. So from September to now, I've had the time to think, had the time to process, had the time to tell all friends and family that I am going to be leaving. And it's been a journey. Even last night I was just sitting in my bed and I was like, I feel very lonely here. I feel very lonely and I feel very sad. I feel like the last 6 months in New York made me very lonely and sad. And I don't really know if there's a specific reason as to why. Maybe it's the space that I'm in and it's really just not big enough. I've also just kind of outgrown the lifestyle of, I mean, I never really was a big partier or drinker. That was never my thing. And in New York, that's a very big thing. And it was a lot of fights with friends, let me tell you. Or like even, yeah, friends and family of like, hey, I don't want to drink. I don't want to do these things. Like, please don't pressure me into these things. And it's just, that's not really the lifestyle in New York. You know, I feel like personally, if you're living in New York, you're going to be like, out partying, doing all those things. For me, that's not really what I wanted anymore, and I would be staying in. But here's the thing is, it's like, if I'm gonna be staying in all the time, I want like a very nice apartment, and the rent in New York is not cheap. It's not cheap in LA either, but for me it just made sense. Like, okay, I want to be in LA for my goals and my dreams. I know I want to settle down there and build a life there, and I also just need a change of scenery, a change of environment, change of all of these things. And I was talking with Nicole about it last night. I was like, I feel sad and lonely here, but I don't want to take that energy to LA. And she's like, you're not going to take that energy to LA, because that is like my biggest fear, of taking that lonely energy to LA. And I think I'm way too excited. I think I'm just way too excited, and I have way more of an escape there. The city's been feeling super overwhelming to me. The past 6 months, I've just fallen out of love with New York, but I will always be so grateful for what New York brought me. New York is where I built who I am. Like, I have changed so much in these past 2 years than I feel like I ever have in my entire life. I have learned so much in these past 2 years. I have fallen in love in New York. I have been broken up. I mean, no, I haven't been broken up with New York, but I've fallen in love with New York. I have fallen in love in New York. I literally was in love for the first time in 5 years, and I did that in New York. I have also had my heart broken in New York. I've also been extremely, probably at one of the lowest lows financially I've ever been in New York, but I've also been at the extremely like highest highs I've ever been financially in New York as well. And that's something everyone told me about New York, was like, New York has really low lows but extremely high highs, and I agree with that 1000%. But I don't like that I feel this way about New York right now, because I always want to have love for the city that built me, like built who I am. I mean, I accomplished at this very desk 100,000, and then I accomplished 1 million at this same desk. So New York has been such a journey to me. And just accomplishing the goals and dreams I had set for myself and seeing myself accomplish those. And now I have more goals and dreams set for myself, specifically in California, that I'm so excited to achieve and accomplish, and like have you guys by my side through that all as well. But yeah, I guess like the behind the scenes, what no one really saw, because I get so many questions of like, why are you moving? New York is my dream city. New York was my dream city too, bitch. And I moved here and I did that damn thing. And now it came to a point where I was feeling very lonely, very sad. I realized that I was like coping by like overeating kind of thing, and I wasn't being my healthiest and like best version of myself in New York, mentally, physically, I don't know, I just feel very worn down here, and that's the best way that I can put that. And New York brought me a lot of, and I think that's why I traveled so much towards the end, was because, or this past year, is because it gave me something to look forward to, because when I was here it was really lonely and it was really hard, and I don't know, and I think I also tried to fill my time with wag-ass motherfuckers, because I did always feel very lonely here and a little bit unfulfilled. And I know you're probably like, well, moving's not going to change that. Well, no, for me it is. For me that is going to change, because I'm in a city right now with everybody I've ever had. Like, my sister's here, my friends are here, everybody is here, and I'm still feeling lonely and unfulfilled. And I know exactly why I'm feeling those things. And I know comes down to like a change of scenery and that I've outgrown this place. And that's okay. But that's kind of my New York story, my little love letter to New York, that I love it so dearly and so deeply. I'm sure I'll miss it. I'm sure I'll miss it. I'm excited to start this new chapter of my life of being in California, like in being and seeing what California has for me. So this was my little love letter to New York, and I'm forever grateful for everything New York brought me and everything New York has done for me, and just the woman I became in New York. I definitely became the woman that when someone's like, what is the highest version of yourself? I became her in New York, but now I have a different highest version of myself that I want to achieve. So I'm forever grateful to New York. I'll forever love New York, and I'll love the memories I've created here and the people I've met and the things that I've done and the life that I built here. I'm excited to start a brand new life in California. And for me, that really is going to consist of making my brand new apartment, which that I am obsessed with, making that a home for me, and really focusing on those projects that are coming very soon, so stay tuned, and becoming the best version of myself, feeling like a little bit less cranky and a little bit less lonely and unfulfilled. I'm excited to grow into the space that I know I need to be at. Like, I'm trusting my gut about California the same way I trusted my gut about New York. So this is my little love letter to New York. I love you, New York. Love, Livy. And if you've ever had goals and dreams about moving somewhere or doing something, I hope this can encourage you to get the fuck up, make your goals and dreams. Okay, not like get the fuck up, but like whatever you want, all of it is possible. And the lows might feel low, but the highs are gonna be really high. And no matter what you want in this world, you can make that happen. Literally, no matter what the fuck it is. If I'm anything, if I can inspire you in any way, I hope it's to realize that you can do whatever the fuck that you want. If I can do it, you can do it. So I'm excited for the next chapter. Goodbye, New York, and hello, California.